What I went through was pretty terrible, and I'm hoping that no one else has to go through that at all.
Police officer Lindy Trischler was among those testifying in support of Senate Bill 38, known as the Pregnant Workers' Rights Act. When she was 5 months pregnant, she asked the Florence Police Department to put her on light duty.
My heavy gun belt was causing a lot of pain. My bulletproof vest was very tight. I had trouble breathing.
Instead, she was forced to take unpaid leave, which she says caused financial difficulty and stress.
An act relating to pregnancy-related discrimination.
Senate Bill 38 would require employees to make reasonable accommodations for pregnant women.
The Commonwealth needs to increase the participation of women, including pregnant women, in the workforce so as to strengthen our economy.
But some committee members voiced concerns.
You know, someone may work in a lumber yard or something, you know, and perhaps there is no light duty available. There just simply isn't.
Employers would be exempt if providing an accommodation created an undue hardship, and the law only applies to businesses with 8 or more employees. It would also strengthen protections as women recover from childbirth.
I'm hopeful, very hopeful. I just think it would be great for women. I really wanted to work. I didn't want a handout. I didn't want a paycheck to sit at home. I really wanted to work, and I think a lot of women want to work. They want to earn their paycheck. So I'm very hopeful.
Backers of the bill also told committee members that they're willing to change some language in the bill to address any concerns that employers might have. In Frankfort, Mark Vanderhoff, WLKY News.